All right, hey everybody. Armchair updates, bringing you the Week 6 breakdown. A little bit late, but um, couldn't really be helped. You might be able to hear right now. I'm having difficulty having stretches of quiet time in my home lately, but whatever. So first things first. Quick congratulations to several teams. I believe 7 that went undefeated this week: the Pirates, the Dodgers, the Tigers, the Pods, the Phillies, the Twins coming on strong lately, the Marlins again finding their way into the top of the standings. It's like when what everybody thinks is going to be a mediocre quarterback just starts to light it up, and you keep thinking like, well, he's going to have to come back to earth. He's going to have to come back to earth, and then he doesn't. It's like the first few years of Tom Brady or something. Not that Tony's going to win a bunch of championships, but everybody kept saying, oh, it's just getting lucky. It's just a system. It's just a system. And now you pretty much have to admit Tom Brady's pretty good. So will Tony be Tom Brady? I don't know, but the Marlins are consistently outperforming expectation, I guess would be a way to put it. Probably everybody's expectation but his own. So Tony's right where he thought he would be. And to the rest of us, at least me personally, the guy doing this, he continues to run above my expectation. The Cardinals take a loss. The Mariners take a loss. The Rockies managed to go 2-1. The White Sox I haven't looked, but probably the first week of the year where they get hit with 2 losses. And then Harry, of course, immediately runs out and makes a gigantic deal for the best pitcher in the league right now. The Rays take a tough 2 losses. The Cubs take a tough 2 losses. So those are some teams that were really running hot lately. Took a bit of a stumble. And then your disappointments, the D-backs go 0-4. That's a tough week. The O's, the Nats, the Indians, the Mets, the Rangers, and the Royals all going winless. And then your few teams going 1-2. The Brew Crew scrapes a win out. Good to see the Giants get a win. The A's, the Red Sox getting their first win of the year. Pat on the head, I guess. Probably shouldn't have been winless, but that's head-to-head. That's scheduling. He finally nabs one, gets it in the bag. The Braves and the Jays both go 1-1 in their 2 games, and haven't looked at Week 7 yet, but I know Mark was super pissed off yesterday about benching Giolito, so maybe that costs him another win there. Who knows? Let's take a look then at our other stuff that we usually do. The big winners, the pathetic losers, your points per games, etc. All right, there we go. Yeah, it's up there. So your biggest victory margins this week, two teams were putting a hurt on everybody they played, the Dodgers and the Pittsburghs, and we've seen both of these teams on this list multiple times, especially the Dodgers. Your number 1 ass kicking of the week, 241.33 points. The Dodgers over the Indians. And man, I'm sorry, Cleveland Mark, but your number 2 ass kicking of the week is Pittsburgh over those same Indians, 221.5 points. So the Indians took a drubbing this week. I actually talked to him fairly recently about maybe a deal, and I know he's got a lot of guys that he's kind of waiting on getting healthy. And my team this week doing the same thing. I'm losing by about 100 points already, and it's Thursday, and the Thursday games haven't started yet. When you're not healthy, that's what you end up looking like. Pittsburgh at number 3 also. So Pittsburgh at number 2, Pittsburgh at number 3, this time over Cincinnati, 193.17 points. And then the Dodgers taking the 4 and the 5 spots. The 4 spot over San Francisco, 190.67 points. And the 5 spot over the D-backs, 172 points. So the Dodgers really laying it on as they are wont to do. And in this week in particular, in brutal fashion, really putting a hurt on pretty much everybody he played. Your small margins of victory, and this was a game that those of us that were in the Discord at the time, we know it came right down to the wire. Detroit over the White Sox. So not only did Harry take 2 losses, but one of them was by the slimmest margin of the week, which was 2.17 points, 2.166. So Tiger John continues to steamroll the league. And I'm sure you can see right next here, we'll jump over a little bit. He's actually not. He's been pushed out of the top 5. I'm pretty sure he was in it at some point. He's been pushed out of the top 5 in points per game on the season. But he continues to crush the league. I mean, there's no other way to say it. He is crushing the league. Even when he's in a tight matchup against top teams, he finds a way to inch it out. 2.166 points, the smallest margin this week. Pretty much in line, give or take, with what the small margin typically ends up being week to week. I think it's usually less than 5 points. We've had a couple that were in that 2 range. So that seems to be about what we can expect. Somebody's going to be squeaking by a hold or a double and an RBI, or however you want to put it. Number 2, the Brewers win this week was a very narrow one over the Washington Nats, 7.17 points. So good on the Brewers to scratch and claw for the victory there. And then Cincinnati over KC, 8.667. So very little difference between 2 and 3 there. Philly over Tampa Bay. So one of the 2 losses that Tampa Bay took was by a very thin margin after coming off a couple weeks of being really incredible. He gets hit with a 1 and 2, and one of them was by 9.5 points against the Phillies, who went 3-0 this week, who are coming on strong despite his place in the power rankings. Adam, your team is performing well. I don't know. I didn't design the rankings. From what I understand, it's based on what they think you should do, almost like the Pythagorean theorem in OOTP or whatever. Some teams outperform their Pythagoras. Some teams run below it. You've had a nice couple of weeks, at the very least, fighting it out with Tony for that division. And then your number 5 slim win of the week, get up into double digits, 15 points. The Angels over the Cubs. Frank taking a tough couple losses this week after a couple weeks of maybe being another guy that I personally thought was running above expectation. But after those couple weeks, Frank, as we've seen on the Discord, is deciding to go for it and has made a couple big deals. May have Tony on this weekend or tomorrow to talk about some of these recent big trades. Trade talk Tony, he loves to talk about anything. It's saving money and wheeling and dealing. Your points per game for week 6, no surprise to see the Dodgers up at top, over 5 points a game and through 78 games. So not only did he average a lot of points per game, he got a lot of games played. Pittsburgh all the way down to 4.61, so quite a difference. The Dodgers really had a great week, just compared to everybody else. 5.04, the next closest guy, 4.61. Pretty significant gap there. Pittsburgh did that with 81 games and had a great week. He went undefeated. Detroit down to 4.3 points in 75 games. Not a surprise. And then the White Sox, 4.26 in 75 games. So the White Sox were number 4 in points per game for the week, but went 1 and 2. So really clubbed over the head with the schedule there. They're not like Harry did anything wrong. He didn't sit a no-hitter or anything like that. He he was one of the top performing teams. But when you have a tough week, you have a tough week. If he would have ran into one of those other guys, he could have easily been number 4 in points and went 0-3 on the week, which would have been incredible. And then Cardinal Jeff, no surprise to see him up there, 4.19 points in 70 games. He's still number 1 points per game on the season, 4.34. Excuse me. You're hitting week 6. The Phillies, top of the mountain in hitting for week 6, and he did it by a good chunk over what the week 5 high was. Week 5 was the Cardinals at 186. Phillies bring 214 with the bats this week, so a nice hitting week for a team that went undefeated. I think every single one of the teams in the hitting leaders, the top 5 hitting, they all went undefeated this week. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Philly, Pittsburgh at 205, Detroit at 185, the Dodgers at 184, and Miami at 165. So a little bit of a gap there. But number 5 last week was the Angels at 169. So not much of a gap between 5 and 5, but a little bit of a gap between 4 and 5 this week. And then you're pitching for week 6. There were a couple of teams here that did not go undefeated, Seattle and the White Sox. So the bats carried week 6, apparently. I mean, and the arms, not like, Pittsburgh got good arms. The Dodgers, of course, got good arms. 209.17 for your number 1 pitching, the Dodgers. Last week was Tampa Bay at 213.17, so very little separation there. But then quite a bit down to 168.33 is Pittsburgh. So the Dodgers really crushed pitching this week. The next closest guy being 30-plus points behind. And then he's also significantly behind what was number 2 last week at 192.67. Number 2 this week, 168.33. So pitching on a downtrend in week 6. The White Sox, number 3, used to seeing him in the pitching category, and now that he's acquired Garrett Cole, can probably expect to continue seeing the White Sox in that top pitching. He was about 15 points lower than number 3 last week, the Cardinals at 179. Number 4, Seattle Seth, we're used to seeing him on this list, 162.83. And number 5, Cardinal Jeff, 162.17. And your point per game season leaders, again, the Cardinals 4.34, the White Sox 4.29, which makes those 2 losses, maybe even tougher for Harry to swallow. Maybe that's why he ran out and made a big splash. A couple losses, and he addressed what he thought was an issue, went out and got Garrett Cole, and he's still sitting at number 2 on the point per game list on the season. Number 3, the Padres, having a great year, 4.13. The Dodgers at 4.1, and the Pirates at 4.08. Not a lot of shuffling. I don't remember what it was for week 5 off the top of my head. I have my notes somewhere, but I don't always know what week was what. Yeah, I can't figure that out right now. So, you're better late than never. Week 6 breakdown. Probably talk to Tony pretty soon. Do some trade talk, some power rankings, and be hopefully doing week 7 a little earlier in the week than Thursday, because I don't like having to wait this long. It kind of almost feels irrelevant by that time, but I like doing them. So thanks for watching, listening, whatever, and we'll see you again.